Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, guys, this is my review recap for Godfather of Harlem, Season 3, Episode 6, Spooks. Child, it's getting crazy out here in these Harlem streets. Bumpy ain't got no Doochie. Bumpy ain't messing with the Doochie no more. He trying to get into the Coco, okay? But in order for him to get it, he have to go ahead and make a deal with the CIA. We got betrayal coming up in the shells, child. And Battle, we looking at you, okay? I thought we could trust you, baby. I was rooting for you. We was all rooting for you. We also got Elise trying to get some government contracts, honey. She want to start this exterminating business, put it in her name. And we got Elise going on a date with Omar, only to find out that his mama is trash. All right, he get it from his mama. Stella, girl, what you thinking? You can't take back. There's no backsies on no hits, girl. Stella want Columbo killed 1 minute and want to save him the next. We know she the Black Widow. You got to be careful when you get next to her, girl. Watch your step. You in danger, girl. You in danger. Danger. All right. Now, in the meantime, y'all, we also have, of course, Malcolm knowing that these threats is against him and that, the CIA wants him amongst many others. So he ain't shocked nor surprised. Let's go ahead and get into this episode, y'all. Break it on down. Take it from the top. So, of course, we start out this episode with Mamie and Bumpy playing some gin. All right, she got that gin. She win. And she's telling him she's glad that he's out of the Doochie business. Okay, he didn't need to be in it no more. Well, what am I going to do? Right now, my money is messed up. I'm messed up. My relationship with Battle is messed up. She says it's all going to come together and there's other things that he could be doing. She's thinking about government contracts, starting businesses. He's like, they not going to mess with no man like me. And she said, why not? Okay, they do it with the white mobsters and all that all the time. So, of course, she's like, there's ways around it. And he, she says we can make millions with this contract. And he was like, well, you sexy, okay? You turning me on when you say millions. And so she was like, well, maybe I will surprise you. And he says that she surprises him all the time. And he tells her, there is some ways around it, right? Maybe if we have some political contacts, and maybe talking about, baby, I got contacts on contacts, all right? Watch me work. So I said, okay. Now, in the meantime, Bumpy and Battle and Columbo is sitting down to talk, right? Of course, he's trying to get money any way he can because he's mad that Bumpy did not come down there and get no Doochie from him. He was like, I got the French connection. If Bumpy don't want to work with me, that's fine. But you should be smart. You should come on and get this money, okay? Why should this stop you? Now, Battle over here talking about some, I stick by my friends. I don't betray my friends. Bumpy is my partner. So, I don't stab my partner in the back. It sounds good. Columbo telling him he respect that. He was like, loyalty is everything in our world. But come on, let's be realistic. So is survival. So is getting this money. So is getting this bread, Battle want to tell him that his father used to say a man is not a banana, all right? Because at the end of the day, you don't just eat a fruit and throw the skin away. And so I said, I never heard that phrase before. And, Columbo tells him you don't choke on it either. So he was like, well, here's my offer. I make $12 million on this car operation alone. Of course, he's always talking about this car operation. He was bringing it up to Bumpy before. So he says, bring in your own men, do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? You get 50-50 plus the heroin, plus I'm going to add, 300,000 on top of it for a bonus opportunity and the chance to hopefully one day become your friend. And, Battle was like, I thank you for that offer. It is a very generous offer. I appreciate the offer. He gets up and shakes his hand, but he's like, I'm going to have to say no. So we thinking that Battle standing firm, like, okay, Battle, I see you. And so, Columbo tells him, all right, well, you better keep thinking on it, okay, and give me a call when you stop thinking like your daddy, because at the end of the day, nobody eats the damn pill, not even an ape. I said, well, you know what I mean? That's a fact, child. Okay, Columbo did not lie about that. He was speaking the truth. Got to give credit when credit is due, even though I don't like him. So he go ahead and leave. Now, at the end of the day, moving on along or whatever the case may be, we actually get to, Bumpy having a meeting with Nat and Chance and trying to figure out what's their next step. Nat and Chance is saying we cannot continue like this. We can't work like this. We are not making no money. We're just doing numbers and things of that nature. Without the Doochie, we really messed up. What is going to be our next plan? Like, really, we not going to sell no drugs no more at all. And so Bumpy is like, you're not telling me nothing I don't know. That's what I'm here trying to figure out. And of course, now Chance is saying, hey, go ahead and listen to Nat's plan, right? And I figured that if they not going to have Doochie, they need to have something. So cocaine may be coming into play. So Nat go ahead and take it out his pocket and throw it on the table. And Bumpy like, cocaine? Who the hell going to buy cocaine? And you know what I'm saying? They only sell this in ounces, but they was like, no, we have an opportunity to really come in. People are starting to shift and starting to buy this more. So obviously, he followed Chance's advice and he did the work into finding out more info about it so that he would be able to go ahead and break it down to Bumpy. Now, Bumpy also want to know, where did you get this from? Chance just says it was one of Battle Men, and we ain't seen nothing turn up about this guy he killed. So is that man just somebody that wasn't important, wasn't high up, or do we just not know when went down yet? Okay, time will tell. But he was like, he's not in the picture anymore. So Bumpy's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? He looks like he could be considering it and thinking about it, because at first he's like, who the hell is buying it? Who can afford it? And all that kind of stuff, right? And they were saying it's not impossible to get it in the bulk. The Latins smuggle it all the time, right? And if they could get it in bulk, they could definitely move it. And so this sounds like, music to Bumpy ears. Right now, he don't have that many choices. So this could be something that he about to, turn up with. Now, in the meantime, he goes and Stella goes and talks to Dan Feynman, right? And she's trying to get rid of Columbo. She's complaining about having him watching her, seeming like it's, she's feeling like it's house arrest. She's like, look, I can't go nowhere. See, the men is watching me right now. Now, she starts to insinuate that he made sexual advances towards her. He's like, yeah, but did he do anything direct? She was like, well, I don't know if you call telling me his penis is big as direct, but then she gonna talk about some, don't tell my dad that part. That was just a conversation that was just between me and you, knowing damn well that he gonna tell her father that freaking part too. Girl, Stella, bye. So, moving on from there, we basically have Bumpy go see Battle, and Battle, of course, is going off saying, yo, I'm losing because you're losing. You're going to drag me down in the damn dirt with you. And Bumpy is telling him, well, listen, I'm not doing the Doochie no more. He's like, if you knew that something was killing all the people in your homeland, would you do it? When he says that, Battle kind of seems like he understands, what he is talking about. And so, therefore, he's like, I do have another plan. And Battle was like, what's that? And he pulls the cocaine out and is like, Nat said he got this from one of your men or whatever. And he's like, well, what the hell are we supposed to do with cocaine? And he's like, we can basically move it. He's like, come on, this ain't going to be nothing because we can only move it in ounces. He says, well, from what I hear, they be burning up the cocaine. The CIA does, and you're in good with the CIA. So if we could go ahead and let them give that to us instead of burning it, we could definitely make a profit off of it. It could be a business and it could help you get to Castro. And we know that's one of the things that, Battle is definitely most important to him, supposedly, right? So we know that gets his attention. And he's like, well, okay, but I got to do one thing first. And of course, Bumpy is like, what? Go, see your shelves? And yes, he does. He have to go and have the lady let him know whether this would be a good venture for him or not, right? He has to consult his advisor. Now, in the meantime, we see, Elise and Malcolm sitting down having lunch, and he's like, what's going on? Why the heck, your face looking like that? Obviously, it's something on your mind. And she's basically telling him that, oh, I can't, get past this or whatever. He wants to take me on a date, but I don't know if I should be doing that. And he's like, why? Because you feel like your feelings is going to show. And she's like, no, because I feel like I might go ahead and throw the damn soup on him, right? And I said, at least just stop trying to fight your damn feelings, because obviously they there. And he tells her if he can forgive him, why can't she, right? She should be able to forgive him too. He's like, I can't tell you whether he's being honest or real, or whether you're going to spend, the rest of your life with him, but courting is the most important part of the relationship and all of that kind of stuff. And so, of course, this gets her to thinking, and at the end of the day, he's telling her he just wants to see her happy, and she go ahead and take a damn, bite of her freaking food after that, right? So now, moving on from there, we basically have Bumpy go with Battle to see if these shows is, what they gonna say, and whether he could move forward and whether this relationship is going to be good or not. And she says betrayal is coming up, right? And then Bumpy, because battle translates, tells about the betrayal, and he's like, well, I'm going to betray you. He says, no, it doesn't say that you're going to betray me directly. What it does say is watch out for our enemies. We both have to watch, and we have to watch our friends even closer, because betrayals doesn't usually come from your enemies. So I said, well, who's going to be doing the betrayal? What are we talking about, right? At one point, that even popped back up in my head with the whole situation that he had with Battle's man. And then they say, well, is it okay for us to go ahead and do the work with the cocaine? And she says, nothing comes up. There's no warning against business matters with the cocaine. So, what I'm saying? Bumpy is like, okay, that's a good thing, right? So he says, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to my man from the CIA. So now we see the CIA, right? He's supposed to be Wild Bill. That's what they call him. And he's basically saying how, well, they show him or whatever, right? And he's getting basically a breakdown of some man that's an inside man supposedly working in Castro's kitchen. And he's like, he's no good to us. Go ahead and get rid of them, right? And then they tell him that Battle called, and they like, well, that's important, for you to call back Battle. And he's like, hell yeah. Now that man, that's somebody that knows how to do business. And they tell him that he has a partner named Bumpy Johnson. And they like, oh yeah, we could use him too. So I'm like, well, what the heck the CIA about to use Bumpy for? Okay. Now, we get old Big Nose Lombardi showing up to Stella door, and he over here making small talk and want to know, can he come in and sit down and all of this? He talking about Palms and Ash Wednesday and this and that. And finally he gets to the damn point where he is saying that he's going to be the one that's taking over for Columbo. Columbo about to be up out of here. And of course Stella is like, what are you talking about? Because she's like, am I free for Columbo's protection or whatever? And he said, your father wanted me to come here and assure you that he's no longer going to be a problem. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I did not want him to be killed. I just wanted him to be off of my, detail or whatever, right? She's like, what are you saying? And he was like, you know how that works. Your father doesn't like how he's doing business anyway, and he doesn't like what he did and how he came at you. So, I'm going to be the one on your detail now, right? And he's just, out of here. So, of course, she's talking about, I didn't want him hurt. I didn't want him killed and all that. I said, girl, you knew what you were saying when you talked to the damn lawyer. Now, she asks Lombardi for a gun and says, don't leave her here defenseless. And at first he's saying, I got to be crazy to give you a gun. I can't do that. And then she's like, come on, please. I have to have something or whatever, right? I know how to use a gun. So he's like, you didn't get this from me. And he gives her the gun. I said, baby, you going to regret that. Now, Mamie go ahead to talk, with some of these, politicians that could possibly help her and figure out about these contracts and whether she could get awarded. And they like, look, it can be a little sketchy, but it's not impossible, all right? It would be funny for them to look into, at least 10 years of the company past. And, she says, and then I've only been running it for 2 days. And he's basically like, yeah, but, I fixed it and made books look a certain way before, so I could do it again. And she's like, isn't that illegal? They telling her this is normal. It's been done all the time, His wife is like asking her, well, Bumpy don't have no issues with this. And she's like, no, actually, Bumpy's encouraging it and happy and proud of it. So they like, okay. So he says he wants 5%. But Mamie was like, okay, well, we can do 3%. All right. You still get 150,000 out of 5 million. Okay. If you do that, I said, come on, Mamie, with the math. Come on, Mamie, with the math. Break it on down and let them know. You know what I'm saying? You know what you're talking about. So he's like, okay, because he was basically saying that he could start out, just pro bono or whatever. But later, if the contracts are awarded, then he had to start making his little profit too or whatever, right? And so everybody wins. Now, moving on from there, we basically finally have, this sit down between Bumpy and the CIA. And they're like, okay, if you're going to get something from us, we need something from you. And Bumpy is basically like, quid pro quo. And they like, yeah. So basically, he tells him, well, we going to need you to go ahead and give us info on Malcolm and where he was with, why he was there, and all of that kind of stuff, and his trip to Africa. We know about him, your daughter doing his books. We know about y'all being good friends and all of that, right? And so if you give us that, then basically you get the coke. Now, of course, Bumpy wasn't expecting them to be asking about Malcolm. That's his friend. He's not going to want to tell no damn info on Malcolm or whatever, right? But they was like, you tell us about that and you can have whatever you want. Now, You know what I'm saying? We move along from there and we get Stella crying to her dad or uncle talking about she don't want no more bodies underneath her. Too many people have been killed because of her. Her uncle telling her that you have to pray for redemption and pray for help or whatever the case may be. And there's nothing evil about you. I've known you since you was a child. I said, child, uncle, you blind as a bat, because damn, if Stella ain't evil, I don't know who the hell is. Now, moving on from that, we get Bumpy going and telling Malcolm about what went down and what the CIA is saying. And Malcolm is like, I'm not surprised, especially after what happened, you know what I'm saying, when we was in Africa. And they start to fill Bumpy in about, you know, they think that he was poisoned. And Malcolm was like, if they was mad already, then they going to be even mad. If you thought it was heat before, it's going to be even more heat, because I'm about to keep going, keeping it popping. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying, take my foot off their necks. He was like, we making mad connections. And we have a lot of people that are thinking of a different mind and heart. And so Bumpy told Malcolm, like, not the damn CIA, okay? And then he's telling them that he's going to give false information. And Malcolm and Elisa's like, how are you going to do that? You can't play around with the CIA. You cannot give them false information. Now, Elise comes in and see Mamie getting twisted off some daggone wine. And Mamie tells her, I would offer you a drink, but I know that you know what I'm saying, are not into drinking or whatever, right? And so she's like, well, what's going on with you? And Mamie talking about, you know, I've been handling your daddy business, trying to get him into some new things and legit things. And Elise was like, yeah, daddy's up to all kind of business these days. And she was like, what do you mean by that? She's like, you know, never mind. And so she basically tells her, like, yeah, well, I'm trying to get this contract with the Palmetto Chemical Company or whatever, right? And so she was like, huh? She said, I don't understand. Like, they're not going to give Bumpy you know, my dad a contract like that. So she was like, you know, that's why I'm putting the company name in my, you know, my name. So she was like, but that's not illegal. And she's like, well, people do it like that all the time or whatever. You know, Bumpy deserves it, and I'm trying to right a wrong. And she was like, you can't right a wrong by doing another wrong. And she says, well, if your father had the right opportunities, he could build an empire. And she was like, you know, he's not gonna change. You can't change him. And she says, yes, he can. And Elise tells her the only one that's changing by this is you, okay, and walks away. So I said, Lord of mercy. Now, moving on from that, we basically had, you know, Bumpy go back to battle, and him show that they already got a picture of when he was sitting down with Elisa and Malcolm, okay? They work fast. They've been following him. They taking pictures. They watching. He was like, your daughter, you and Malcolm X met an hour ago. You cannot play games with these people. Don't think that you're going to give them false information. You have to be real careful with these spooks, right? And you wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a picture of you, you know, scratching your ass in your silk pajamas. And so Bumpy is like, oh, he already gave this to you? And he's basically shaking his head, yeah. Bumpy is like, that's good to know. So he was like, these guys have eyes everywhere. You cannot play games with them. And Bumpy was like, well, thanks for the advice, okay? Now, moving on from there, you know, we got Zag on Elise going to the dinner with Kareem and his mama. Everybody talking about, you look pretty and you look pretty and I'm so happy to be here. So nice to meet you. You know, mama done came to be a chaperone. Things are starting out real good. He's putting the seat out for her to go ahead and sit down. And then mama started talking about how she raised him to be a good Muslim man. And she's like, yeah, you did a great job. I said, really, Elise, a great job? We think that, okay, if you say so, girl. So mama turns real quick, you know, because she was saying, y'all can't touch hands till y'all married, and that's why I'm here. And then he apologizes like, I'm so sorry, mama. You know, excuse me, I got ahead of myself. So she's talking about the only mistake she's ever made, or the only shameful thing that he's ever done, was when he was exiled from the daggone Nation of Islam because of that roguish Malcolm X. And he's over here like, mama, please stop, okay? Don't say that. Don't start nothing. And she was like, that evil man has slandered everything and all of this. And so basically Elise was like, first of all, Malcolm has been fighting and he deserves respect no matter what's going on with Elijah Muhammad and him. And his mama was basically saying, I thought you said this was an intelligent woman, okay? She not sounding very smart to me. And he's like, mama, I beg you. She was like, oh, you know, Allah forbids you from being, you know, a part of some stuff like this. And clearly this woman is a fool. And he's saying, mother, enough. So she was like, girl, bye, okay? And Elise got up and got the hell up out of there. And mind you, we were seeing that the CIA was was taking pictures of her the whole time as she was walking in there. Now, we get back to Stella. Stella done tried to go back to Fireman and talk about some, I told you not to tell my father that part, and basically I lied, so I need you to go and tell him. And he's like, well, first of all, I can't hear that. I don't know nothing about what you are talking about, and as your father lawyer, I had to tell him everything. And she's like, well, if you do not tell him to call it off, I'm going to tell him that you sexually assaulted me too. And he was basically like, are you threatening me? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, for the first time, you know what I'm saying, I'm seeing you just like your damn father, all right? And so she was saying she needs a meeting with Labardi, and he was like, okay, you got it. Child, Stella, I don't know why the hell you started this mess if you knew you couldn't finish it, because you knew where it was going. Now, we get to, Bumpy is sitting down with Chance and Nat, and they talking, and they all talking about the different things that they heard within the government and what they do, and how the government has even reached out to, the CIA for help before, whatever, right, with doing different jobs and hit jobs and things of that nature, right? He's told them that they have even been a part of the Kennedy assassination and different things like that, and that supposedly he heard something from one of, in Spanish Harlem or whatever. There's a rumor going around about how they botched the job with, Castro or whatever. And Bumpy's like, where the hell you heard that from? And he was basically saying from, one of Battle's men. So he's like, okay, well, get me a daggone meeting with Gambino, okay, so he could go ahead and get into this and find out what is going on, rather, right? And so I'm like, you sure are hearing a lot of stuff and getting a lot of stuff from Battle's men out here and that now. Now, they say this was a hush-hush operation or whatever the case may be, right? And so they say, okay, they gonna set this meeting. Now, we have, made me go back to Powell's office or whatever, and now it's a lawyer that's sitting down with them that's saying, nah, this can't work, you can't do this, these numbers is not right, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and put stuff in that's not right. And Powell is saying, white mobsters do it all the time, why can't black mobsters do it? He was like, yes, you are gonna put this in by any means necessary. And so he's like, do you really want me to go to them and be like, oh, because you give it to white mobsters, now you could give it to black, but he was like, come on, just put it in, do what we say, it's not like we lying, because we're gonna get a lot more jobs coming in. It's like, what, the real number is 20, so we could put it as 30, but we are saying that we are really high at 50, right? And so the guy basically was like, all right, whatever, if you want to do it, then we gonna do it. So they go ahead and put it in. Now, in the meantime, Labardi told Stella, all I need you to do is be there, be you and Columbo at the office by yourselves, right? He was like, I'm going to come about 7, and you're going to act like you're going to the bathroom, and then I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Once something is put on, it can't be taken off. And he begins to tell her, like, I'm sorry what happened with Ernie. I know all the different things that you went through. He's like, at the end of the day, your father did feel bad about that and tried to change his mind. He tried to reach me before, I took Ernie out, but he couldn't get there in time, or didn't get there in time, and I had already did it, and that always bothered him and hurt him as much as it hurt you. And at the end of the day, your father loves you. So he was like, if you really want to help your father, because at this point, I feel like Columbo will probably take over the business from him one day. And, she's like, oh, you do? And he's like, yeah. He was like, so you want to help him, right, and do the right thing. So he's telling her, when he get there, act like you got to go to the bathroom, and then I'm going to take him out, right? That'll be that with him. And of course, Stella's like, I thought it was my father that killed him. And he's like, no, it was me, or whatever the case may be, right? And so she never knew that. So I said, well, Labardi, you up out of here, right? Because she going to take you out now, because we all know that a lot of the stuff she's been doing has all about her getting revenge against her dad and being mad at her dad, and that was part of the reason why she told on him and set him up in the first place. So I said, Labardi, you don't even know what you did, but we don't care. You up out of here, right? Now, we basically have, Bumpy go sit down with Mr. Gambino, right, and say, we have been longtime friends. We've always kept it real with each other. And he's like, yeah, so what the hell are you doing here? What do you want? You right, we have kept it real with each other. And Bumpy's like, I need some info on that deal, that hit that tried to go down on Castro and went wrong. I need you to spill the tea. He's like, I've been dealing with Wild Bill from the CIA. And he's like, oh, really, him? Yeah, I know him. I could tell you all the tea. He was like, yeah, so much different things that went wrong, right, from wetsuits to every different thing else. If you got time, I could break it all down for you, right? He was like, why are you all of a sudden, interested in government deals and partnering with them and all this other stuff, right? Where did that come from? And Bumpy was like, you know him? He was like, yeah, he's the puppet master of it all. He was like, if you got time, I could break it all down for you. It was called Operation Mango. So Bumpy like, yeah, I got all the time in the world. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in no rush at all. Okay, come on and tell it. So I said, okay, we're going to see what Bumpy going to do. So now, Powell comes and tell Mamie, I wanted to speak to you in person. I wanted to personally drop this off and let you know that the contract, we didn't get it or whatever. It was denied. So she's like, oh, it seems that they caught me and, it didn't work. And I'm so ashamed. I feel so embarrassed. I hope God can forgive me. I had no business trying to do something illegal in the first place. And he was like, Mamie, I don't think you understand. He was like, it's not that. It's that they sabotaged your damn application. It's just somebody else that was trying to be more crooked than you that basically won and did an even bigger scheme or whatever and was able to outbid you and get you knocked out the box and get your things denied and get theirs put in. So we need to have you back early in the morning and we need to keep fighting this fight. And she was like, you know what I'm saying? Yes, I will be there. Okay. And she just basically started shaking her head, right? Of course, they were the ones that won it. So now, we had, child, Stella at work and Columbo's like, what's going on? You could go, you don't gotta stay here this late and all of that. And she was like, oh, I'm just finishing up something, I'm gonna get ready to go. And he was like, yeah, you gotta hurry up and leave because Lombardi's coming by to talk to me about something pertaining to your father. So once he get here, you know what I'm saying, you could go ahead and step out. So Lombardi comes in and he's saying hi to both of them, and then Columbo tells her, like, go ahead, Stella, you could leave. And he's like, so what's going on with Chin? And the next thing you know, Lombardi walking up with the gun out, and he was like, he told me to send you this. And Stella come, child, and all we see is a damn bullet going through that damn eye, big ass hole there. Okay, then him on the floor with his brains every damn where. And Stella tells Columbo, he's the one that kills Ernie, and he's also was coming here to kill you. And he said, well, why would he be trying to kill me without Chin's permission? Obviously he had a child. And Stella says, I want out. Okay, give me my freedom. So is he gonna give her freedom now that she basically just saved his life, child, after she's the one that put it in danger in the first place? Now Bumpy come on up and drive on up to the CIA. We seeing them burning all this coke, honey, like it ain't nothing, child. Just got barrels of it, pushing it, looking like snow. And so Bumpy comes in, and the CIA guy, Wild Bill, is like, okay, what do you got for me? What do we, what you got to say? What's going on? Tell us about Malcolm. And Bumpy was like, you really thought that I was going to betray my friend and come here and tell you everything that I knew about him? Hell to the no. He was like, I know stuff on you too, and I got reported, so if I should turn up missing or anything could happen to me, all the stories of all the different ways that you messed up and how you was colluding with the daggone, Italians, and how you had all your failed assassination attempts. He was like, yeah, I know all of them. I done did my research too or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It will come out. And so, at first, Mr. CIA was saying, if I was you, I would be very careful. And Bumpy like, yeah, well, you not me. You know what I'm saying? I got connections too. And so he just basically told him, like, you better go ahead and load that coke up if you know what I know, okay? And so CIA said, load this into Mr. Johnson's, car when he's ready. And Mr. Battle said, listen, I'm impressed. Every time, that you come over here, you keep surprising me more and more and more. I never know which way you gonna go. You really got some balls on you. So they go ahead and they load up Bumpy car, whatever the case may be, and he is pleased. He is very pleased. And we got the CIA guy, Wild Bill, complaining to Battle, saying, who does this damn spook think he is? He coming up in here threatening me and telling me how he gonna do when I'm expecting intel. And so Battle says Bumpy was never going to betray his friend. You should have already known that or whatever, right? And so CIA Wild Bill is like, I'm listening. He over here pouring them drinks. And Battle says, well, I'm connected to Bumpy and Bumpy's connected to Malcolm. And I don't got nothing to do with, that communist Negro. I said, wait a minute, what, Battle? So therefore, I can give you whatever info that I can find out about him through Bumpy because I have no ties. And while Bill says, that's what I'm talking about, that sounds good to me. Okay, salute. And so, of course, he over here, clink, 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 doing a damn cheers with him or whatever, right? And Battle Mind goes to when his little, shell dropper dropped them shells and said, betrayal. So Battle, you out here betraying damn Bumpy after you said you was a real one. I'm so disappointed in you, honey. I'm so disappointed in you. Where's this going, y'all? Put it in the comments. Tell me what you thought about this episode, what you like, what you don't like, honey. Break it on down. What is your rating? What do you think Bumpy is going to do? You know Bumpy going to find out and be on it, but child, I thought the black and brown was uniting and we was coming together as one. Anyway, like, comment, share, subscribe if you are so inclined. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky, y'all. Till next time, too.